Don't make me turn troubleshooting back on.
The block is working. It's just like because it's for some reason didn't work that time. Let's see, it works this time because I did a perspective print with it and it worked fine. Yeah, there we go. There it worked. So I could
nice.
run it. So it's just a block that lets you do whatever scripting you want.
Yes.
I don't know.
So
I thought it was...
And we're live.
What's up, everybody? My name is Clifford. No, it's Derek.
And my name is Mushroom. No. And my name is Casey, and we're here to bring you a new perspective.
This is episode 6 of the Spooky Show, where we talk about the next-gen features in Ignition.
And this week, we are welcoming back, or for the first time, a Power Ranger. No, this is Eric. Why don't you tell us about yourself? What are you gonna be working on today? What's the plan?
Well, I'm the Red Ranger, the leader of the Power Rangers.
Naturally.
Oh no.
But you might remember from last stream. I was on last stream and we developed a drag and drop interface, which I'll show you in a second. And we are going to continue on that to build an actual application with it to try to get some use cases built for it.
Yeah, it's better now. Reese, the mask is temporary. He's gonna show who he is today.
Dwayne!
No, he's not. No, he's not. Eric, show where your knuckles are.
Yeah, show him. So he's got like little hands.
Wait, okay, so before we get into this, before we get into this, can we get the story about how long you've had this?
Oh my god.
How long where it's been for the last 20 years?
So when I was younger, I was big into Power Rangers, as a lot of people were, because it was cool. And so when I was like 5 or 6, I got this costume I wore all the time around the house. And since I was about 8, it's probably been sitting in a box in the closet at home. And so found it. It still fits, kind of. But we're still going, you know.
Did your parents have something to say about you asking about your 20-year-old costume and wanting to find it?
They were very confused but not surprised.
Oh, that's awesome. Very cool.
That is funny.
Well, if we're done digging into the Power Rangers history here, do we want to unmorph into a Ignition developer? See what we got this week.
Whoa!
There he is.
Pow, pow, pow.
Surprise! It's me, Eric.
I had no idea. So hopefully, Eric is a little louder now to everybody. But if not, just let us know.
Can you do a backflip? That's what I want to know. Power Rangers can do backflips.
No.
You better.
Listen, I'm not an actual Power Ranger. I'm just pretending.
Okay.
Oh,
right.
You need a disclaimer. Not real. Sweet. Well.
Very cool. Well, with that, I will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will show your screen. Your screen is shown. If you want to do a little review of where we left off last week and where we're going this week.
Yeah.
All
definitely.
right. Yeah. Yeah. So if you remember last week, we developed this drag and drop interface. We didn't quite get through everything, so I'm going to recap now what we did last week and some of the new features that have been added since the last stream. So this might look a little familiar to what we did the last stream. So, you know, I can see all my different items over here. I can drag stuff onto the screen and keep dragging it, whatever. I can open it, configure some different things on it. So let's see. Make it yellow. All that fun
Are these
stuff.
resizable as well?
Well, we'll get there. Jeez. So
Okay. All right.
patient, yeah.
Chill.
Yeah, I can resize them, so we'll show that. I can, now I can resize them unlike what I could do last week. So yeah, I can click on one of these corners and drag it out. Pretty cool. I can also now, you'll see these little arrows here that weren't there the last time. I can click on those and drag out a connector and then drop it on there and connect 2 items.
So do those have to be static or can you move those around now? Oh, the lines.
You're just
dynamic.
like fortune telling all of the functionality, aren't you?
Well, I was just wondering where you left off last week.
Yeah.
It's looking
No,
good though.
so yeah, you can do all that kind of stuff. We have it all storing in a data structure in the back end. I'm not going to talk about that right now because you'll see it all when we start actually implementing something.
Nice.
You know, the one other feature here that I just thought was cool, but isn't like is kind of useful, but is this little, you now have the ability to lock things. So now I can't like drag it around. It
Oh,
just comes standing. And
that's
I can
awesome.
unlock it and drag it around. So that's nice if you're gonna have like background images and stuff. So you drag something on and you put something over top of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
So you can do that sort of thing. So that's kind of nice. There's also now a live mode. So, you know, right before it was all configurable, you know, you can't interact with the actual template itself. You can just drag it around. There's now the ability to toggle it to live mode, which means that you can then interact with the component and you won't be able to drag it around anymore. You'll still be able to pan, but you won't be able to drag. So that'll just help us get a little bit of functionality. You know, you develop it, you configure it, then we can put it into execution and actually watch it do stuff in more of a production environment. So that is something else we're going to show here in a second. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Sure.
You know, I know we kind of had a leap in functionality from the last time.
Yeah.
But it wasn't too big of a leap, hopefully. So
Hopefully you have some prettier symbols there.
What's wrong with the pause sign?
I'm not guaranteeing anything.
They're
But,
fine, but I just want to see something, you know.
well, you're gonna see something that does stuff this time, so that'll
Okay.
be
All right.
Whoa.
Well, I'm excited.
All right. So let's go ahead and hop into that.
Let's do it.
Away. So the idea of what I'm gonna build today is a SFC track, like light tracker. So all of you, well, probably not
What's
all of you use it.
SFC?
Yeah, so if you heard of the SFC module, it stands for sequential function chart. So there's a module in Ignition that does this, but we're going to build a light version of it. So what it's going to do is you're going to be able to lay out blocks in like an order, connect them with lines, kind of like what we were doing before, and then have your program start at the first block and then execute through all of them and do different functionality as it goes along the path. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And you know, the goal of this is to kind of give a maybe, you know, the Ignition SFC module is going to be really powerful for like developers, but this might be more powerful for something like from a front end perspective, where you might have like you know, like an engineer at a customer that wants to actually go in and develop the SFC. Not going to be so much not going to be as like in-depth technical as like the SFC module is, but this would be more just like high level.
Very cool.
Nice.
Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and hop into that. So let me open my design here.
Let's go.
So I have this view here already made. We're going to start with that. So I called it SFC. I made it a coordinate container. I'm going to go ahead and set it to percentage mode, because percentage mode is better. And the first thing, of course, if we want to use our view from last week, the first thing we have to do is pull that view into the screen. So to do that, I'm going to go grab an embedded view and drag it on, maybe. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and full screen it. That's mainly what we're going to have on here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and grab the thing we did last week. So there we go. Oh, nope. This is the wrong one. Sorry. I want to do...
Drag and drop _ good.
This is the fully functioned one. That was the one we developed last week. This is the fully functioned one here. So now that I have it here, we can go ahead and take a look at some of the parameters we have on this view. So I'm going to go ahead and put them all on here because we want to have access to all of them. Maybe. There we go. All right, so now let's look at some of these parameters on here. So we have options. So we talked about that a little bit last week. This is going to be all of the options that we want to show on the left here. So you can see I have my pause symbol and then some configuration elements for it. And I have my image, my alarm thing image, that, and then some parameters for that. So those are my options right now. We talked about that one last week. The other part here is this chart data. So this chart data is new. This chart data is a input-output that we have for the current state of what's been dragged onto the view. Okay. So maybe it'll be a little easier to tell if I go ahead and drag something onto here. You'll see that something appeared in that chart data. And that's my first item. So you can see the view I dragged on. You can see the ID of what I dragged on. You can see the parameter values of what I dragged on. So you can see like this drop down had nothing selected and the color of it is red. I can see all that stuff. I can also see any connections I've made would be in here. You know, this is just a way to output some of the data. So this would be used for saving the data or starting out with the preloaded, you know, drag and drop interface. Because obviously this interface isn't really going to be that helpful unless you can save and load to the database, whatever you're doing. So you'll see if I just want to clear that out, I can just go ahead and maybe delete this. Yeah, there we go. Now it's gone. The other views on here, so we have live mode. So if I turn it to live mode here and do that, now you'll see that the sidebar goes away. This is now in our live mode, like I said. So this is what it would look like in production. So you can I can go out of live mode and it'll come back. I don't know why my computer's being so laggy right now. But okay. And then the last option here is this play mode loaded. So when you go to live mode, you will sometimes get it has to reload some things on the screen to get it to work. So this play mode loaded, which I should really name the live mode loaded, is something you can put a change script on if you want to have something happen after it goes live. You can put it there. You can bind it to that, put the change script on that. It's just going to trigger to let you know everything's loaded and good to go. So that's some of the parameters we have here. So now let's start actually building out this view a little bit more. So the first thing I want to add is I want to give the user from the UI, just to make this a little simpler on ourselves, I'm going to grab a checkbox here, drag it on here. We're going to call this, I'm going to go right there. I'm going to call this CHK Live. And all I want this to do is just to be a little button we can use to toggle our live mode on and off. It's going to make it a lot easier to demo some of the features that we have. So let's go ahead and, of course, everything decides to open on the other screen.
Of course.
We're going to go ahead and bind our live value to our selected on the checkbox, and we'll go ahead and make bidirectional this one. So there we go. Now we've got our live view here, so we can toggle between live mode and not live mode. Yeah, so that's a good start. But now, to do our drag and drop, we have to do actually drag and drop stuff. We have to make the components that we want to drag and drop. So to do that, I already have a components folder here. And now I'm going to go in and start making some components. So first I'm going to go create a new view. We're going to call this first one start. So the idea of this is I want to have it to where I want to have a start block that's going to appear on the screen by default. And then that'll be like what you connect things to if you want it to be the first thing to execute. So the start block is going to be the first thing to execute every time. This is common in a lot of SFCs, just so you have a common place to start from. So to do
you're forcing that? You're forcing that to be kind of preloaded onto the drag and drop, or are you forcing that rule?
But yes, okay. I will.
Okay.
Yes, I will. So the idea is that we will force it to be always on there.
Okay.
So if I do ID here, so we have start block, that's going to be my parameter. I'm going to have an ID so I can identify it, because where we're going to get to with this is that I'm going to have to message back and forth, tell what blocks to run. So we have the drag and drop interface. We're going to be building this execution interface outside of it, which is going to have to do a lot of messaging to tell components when to run, when not to run. And this ID is going to be how we tell what to run. So the start block is going to be the name for whatever we're going to run first. On here, I'm just going to go ahead and throw on an icon here. So make this pretty simple. Icon. There we go. Drag that on there. Make that, set the grow to 1, make it grow all the way, and then we're going to go ahead and do this, and we're going to get a nice down arrow. Maybe something like this. And then we're going to set the color maybe to a green color. I don't know. Sure, we'll call that good. And let's go ahead and, just so it doesn't show, well, the background's white, I guess, but just because I always like to do this, I'm just going to go ahead and set the background to be transparent.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't show up no matter what color we make the background.
Mm.
So once I do that, this is now, this looks like a decent enough component for us to use for the start icon. Now what I need to do is start building out the base execution engine for a block. So to do that, I am going to go to the base view. Well, actually, yeah, sorry, I'm going to go to the root container. And I am going to add some scripts to it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a message handler here, and I'm going to call this. I'm going to call it run task. So, okay, now I got my run task order here. So what I can do on this is essentially a message I'm going to call whenever I want to start a new block of functionality.
Okay.
So for that, I can then basically, I'm going to receive this payload, this message called run task. I'm going to have a payload. It's going to contain the ID of what should run. So since every block is going to end up listening for the same message, that's why this ID needs to discern what is actually going to be running. Or it should discern if I'm the one that should start running.
Sure.
So to do that, I'm going to first pull out the ID field out of the payload, and then I'm going to say if ID, I don't know, I'd the ID, if ID, if the ID is equal to my ID, then what I'm going to do, just to keep this consistent, I'm going to call this self.runEvent method. And the only reason I'm doing this is because I would like to keep all my blocks to be pretty similar to each other. So the idea is that I'm going to have the same run task message on every block I make for this, and I just have to change this run event method over here.
Okay.
So, just keep things a little separate.
Yeah.
So since we're calling the function, we have to make the function. So now I have this run event function. And in this one's going to be pretty straightforward. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to send a message out to tell the UI to continue down the path. So our overall plan is going to have to wait for this block to complete and then proceed to the next one. So I'm going to go ahead and do that here by just sending back a message. We'll call it something like complete task. And then we're going to include the payload so it knows what ID is actually being completed.
Okay.
The same way we had to identify when we receive the ID, we have to send out the ID so everything knows what's completing and what's not. So I'm going to do that. And I think that is actually all we need for a start block at this point. So now we can just start copying this and making some blocks that are a little bit more interesting. So to do that, I am going to copy this and paste it, just so we have a similar starting point. And we're going to rename it, and I'm going to call this one delay. But the idea of this delay block is a lot of times in SFC, one of the most important parts is that you want to be able to wait for a certain amount of time for something to happen. You might want to wait for a certain amount of time for something to happen. So to do that, that's what this block's going to do. So it's going to take into time, and it's going to allow you to wait for that amount of time before you continue on to the next block.
Okay.
So in here, let's give it a little bit different. Well, for the parameters first, so let's go ahead and get rid of this because we want to take the ID in on this one as a parameter. So we're going to have several of these blocks. So I'm going to do ID. One of them, maybe if I can delete the value. And then we're going to do the other one, we're going to call time. How long do we want to delay? I'm just going to default it to 5 or something. It doesn't really matter. So this is how long we actually want to delay. So now, this view doesn't make a lot of sense for a delay block. So we're going to go ahead and delete that and make it look a little bit different. So I'm going to first change this to a row. And I'm going to throw an icon onto this, maybe. There we go. We're going to throw an icon onto this. And let's see, I don't know, what's a good icon for this? Let's do this, maybe, I guess. We'll do a timer. Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
It's appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to do a timer. Get a little bit bigger there. And then we're going to throw a label onto here just to kind of show, maybe from the UI perspective, we want to be able to tell, hey, how long has this been, how long is this actually going to delay? So you don't have to click on it to know. So let's do, I don't know, let's do an expression, say time, and this is going to be in seconds. Minutes would take way too long to demo. So there we go. We're just, we're not going to worry a whole lot about styling right now, so we're just going to leave it at that. Get it working first. So that's our delay block. Now that looks a little more like an actual delay block. What I'm going to do is now go into the script, and like I said, I should be able to just leave this run task. Well, actually I can't, because instead of using a custom property this time, I use a parameter. So I do need to actually change it this time. This is different when I did it the first time. I'm improving. So there, now I got my param. So it should be able to be the same for everything you're going to drag on. So now I'm going to call this run event, and I need to change the run event. This run event's going to have to be a little bit more interesting than this. So let's maybe tab that down. We're still going to need to call this message, but it's not going to be able to just call it at one line. So we're going to have to delay for a certain amount of time. So to do that delay, we're going to have to use something like time.sleep to wait for a little bit, right? Wait for a set amount of time. Now, the issue with time.sleep is if we call time.sleep from this function, it's going to freeze everything, which is not quite what we wanted to do. So because of that, we're going to have to kick off a separate thread and then call the time.sleep in that thread. So to do that, I'm going to first grab the value I want for the timer. So let's grab that timer. I don't know why I call it value. Let's call it time.
This is using the async thread. Starting a new thread with the async.
Yeah, we will here. So I am going to first make the function I want to call async. And there's a couple ways you can actually call an async function. For this one, I don't have any parameters. So usually when I don't have any parameters, I just use the ignition function. It's the most easy. This system.util.invoke asynchronous.
Say that 3 times fast.
No.
Async. I can barely speak with these things.
No, the whole thing. System data. I can't even do it one time.
I can't even say it once.
System.util.
System.util.invoke. Invoke asynchronous.
So there's also the built-in Python timer class. I use that one some. It's a little bit, it has a little bit more functionality to it, but I only use that if I need parameters. I don't really use it ever except for that. Cool. So all I need to do once I kick off this different thread, I'm good to call time.sleep, sleep for however many seconds we took in, and then I can call my function. Right.
Sleep in seconds or milliseconds?
Sleep is in seconds. I know. I always get tripped up on that because everything else is in milliseconds like this. But no, this is in seconds. But it takes in a float. So you can pass in like 0.5, 0.1, whatever you might need to do with that. So, yeah. Now, this is the function to do the delay, right? But this might look like it's going to work, but it's actually not going to work.
Then why are we doing this, Eric?
Because this is how it looks like I should be doing it, right? But the issue, one of the pitfalls of using asynchronous threads is that you're now no longer on the perspective thread. So what that means is that since I'm in this asynchronous thread, I can no longer use perspective functions, where I'm going to get an error that says no perspective session attached to this thread, yada, 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 right? So I can't do this. So what I have to do instead, and I'm not exactly sure why this works, but it does, I can't access perspective I can't access perspective functions, but what I can do is I can access a perspective, like a property, like a parameter on the view. So I can do, so let's say I'll just do this. Like I'm going to make a custom property and call it running. I'm going to set that equal to false. I'm going to go make a custom property on the main view, and that's going to be something we're going to use to exchange whether or not I'm running or not, whether it should be done. Right? And we can use that property then to like communicate between the thread and the perspective session. So don't know really why it works, the ins and outs of why it works, but it does work, so that's cool.
Okay.
Exactly. So now that we set it to false, we need it to change. So that means when I start the thread, I'm just going to go in here and throw on one of these, make it true. And maybe I wanted to do it this. So, we're just saying it's true when it starts running. Then when it's done running, we're going to set to false.
Okay.
And I do want to copy this because I don't want to type it again. I'll do that. All right. So now what I can do is I can go here and I can add a custom property to the view. Well, actually, no. I have to add it to the root container, I think, and call it running. We're going to do that. I'm going to set it to false by default. And we're going to throw a chain script on this. And we're just going to say if current value is equal to false. And we're just going to run that message just to simplify it a little bit there. So now when this goes to false, we're going to trigger that message, which would let the next thing start running. Same thing as how we did in the start block. We just had to go a little bit more of a roundabout way to get there. The other cool part about having this property that's kind of nice is one thing you would notice if we built this out and we ran it and stuff is that you can't really tell looking at the SFC where it is, like which block is currently executing. It's like, oh, this looks like something's happening, but I don't know what's happening, right? So one thing we can do to fix that, so I'm just going to go in the root container. I'm just going to add a nice little, well, I'm going to add a style to it, but I don't remember how I stylized it before, so I'm going to copy it from my notes and do this. So I'm just going to add like, a little border to it, a little background color to offset it from the white.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a background, the background color here is gray by default. So what I want to do here is bind this to the expression binding, and we're going to say if running, there, it's here. So if running, then we're going to do a color. We're going to make it green. I don't know what a good green color is, so I'm just going to do green I know. Is that? Oh my god, this is so laggy.
I'm not chartreuse, actually.
Chartreuse? Do you know the RGB color for chartreuse?
Yes, I have it memorized.
Okay, tell it to me.
I don't know.
Wait, Google knows.
Why?
Listen.
Okay, there we go. So now, okay. So now that'll change it. If I click this, it should change to a green background. So then it's running, and then when it becomes not running, it should go back to being, oh no. Or I'll break it. So it looks like our object has no attribute ID, which actually does make sense. So if I do this, oh, because it's params. What am I doing? There we go. Cool. That was easy debugging. So now we got this. I'm gonna guess this will probably work. So we can use this as the basis for everything else, and make a couple other blocks a little more quicker. So let me copy this and paste it. And we're gonna make another block that is called weight value. So what this weight value is gonna be is this is gonna say like maybe we want to wait till a tag turns to a certain value, right?
Wait, weight or await?
Await. That sounds fancy. That's why I chose.
Okay, I just want to make sure you typed it correctly.
So yeah, so this block is literally just gonna be like, hey, let's specify a tag path, and then let's wait for that tag path to equal a certain value, and then when it becomes that value, we'll move on past it. So it's similar to what we just did, but a little different. So on this one, what I want to do is I'm going to change this icon first because we don't want to have two icons the same. That'd be weird. And I don't know. What's a good icon for that? Oh, I just use that one. We'll do a clock. Sure, why not? If I do this now, what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to say, let's say, let's do tag path. Is, I don't know. The tag path is equal to, and then let's do value. So just to give another way that we can kind of say, hey, let's just give an easy way from looking at the block to see what is actually going on here. Now, what is this block actually doing? So now we should just have to go change the function here. So if I go to this run event, all I need to do on this one is get rid of the time.sleep, and I need to make us actually wait for a tag to change. So what I can do there is I can do while one, and then I can do current val read blocking, and this is just I'm just reading that tag. Oh, gotta pull the tag path.
Sorry, Eric, we just have some self-promo in the chat. So
Yeah, I just have to ban someone. Hold on.
ban
Oh
hammer.
no.
Oh,
Oh no, our first ban. I feel so big time
I
now.
know, he says hello world. You must be cool.
Just so the
So
weather
we're
is
gonna-
nice.
So we're gonna read that tag path there. So now we got the value. Now we're just gonna check to see is I always like to cast these as strings just in case, you know, avoiding weirdness. So if string current value is equal to string value, then we want to set this set our custom property. So this guy to be false, which I guess I could have just copied it, but I didn't trust it. We're gonna set that to be false, and then we're gonna break, and then we're just gonna go ahead and do an import time again, and then just so we're not continually pinging, I'm just gonna time.sleep, and we're just gonna wait a second. You know, you probably won't want to wait that long in an actual system, but here's not a huge deal. We'll just do the wait. The other thing that I always do, because I don't trust while one loops, I always like to do this like num tries. So we're just gonna set a certain number of num tries, and I'm just gonna say while. I don't want an infinite while loop or system. That doesn't.
You don't like endless loops?
I mean, it's not my favorite thing, especially for work. Now, in my free time, sometimes.
Oh, jeez.
So, okay, there's our first, there's our await value. I think that should be good. You know, again, we just changed the functionality a little bit. Let's make another block.
Whoa.
One that lets us actually see if something's happening. Because, you know, so far we've just been waiting, which is not a very interesting SFC. We're just waiting the whole time for something to happen. So we'll call this one tag, right? Oh, my naming convention is awful because I didn't capitalize that. A second. There we go. Tag right.
We do have a question. Derek, do you wanna ask?
All right, hold on. Let me pre-read it. No, I'm not gonna pre-read it. I'm just gonna read it. Can you make the hand on the clock move when the timer is counting?
Oh my gosh, that would be pretty cool. But
I mean,
not in the next 27 minutes. Unless, I mean, we could probably find a GIF or something, right? I don't know.
I saw this guy on a inductive webinar today. I bet he could have done it. His name was Reese Tyson.
Yeah, I'm not as cool as Reese though.
Is that the chicken company? No. Oh no.
But I mean, I suppose you could if you wanted to, if you had enough time.
Hey,
could definitely be. Again, this is the cool part of the
SVG editor.
Oh, true.
Oh.
I still think that would be real. I still think that'd be pretty hard, but yeah, you could do it.
Hacks.
Just have a different one for every minute.
Yeah. Animate through. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah, I mean, the cool part about this, right, is that I'm making these views to show on there, so you can get as crazy as you want to. Probably make them look a lot better than I'm making them look. You could do a lot of cool stuff, but it's just kind of however much you need to do to make it look the way you want it to look. All right, I'm just gonna do another couple changes here just to make this look a little better. Could write like pencil or something. No. Like edit, I guess. What is this?
Oh yeah.
Sure. And all I'm gonna do in here, just because this now we're writing down values, so I'm gonna do this, like flip these back and forth. And we're gonna maybe do this, and I'm gonna we'll do that. That'll be a nice little arrow. There you go, there's our arrow. So this is just gonna be writing a value down. We have the same parameters on this one because we just have a tag path and a value, but our functionality is gonna be a little different and a little bit simpler. So I'm gonna go in here. And then what I can do is we don't need an async thread this time, so I can delete that. And now all I have to do in here is do system.tag.write blocking tag path, and then value. And that should write the value down, and it'll set the running to false. This one's not going to turn green really much at all because it's just going to immediately complete. But that's fine. Cool. So there is our blocks so far. So those are 3 blocks, I guess, that we're going to do to start out with. So let's go ahead now, put those into the SFC so we can start playing with them. So first, let's add our options in. So I'm just going to, well, sorry. First, like Derek said, was alluding to, we don't want to have somebody be able to put on a start block and then put on like 15 start blocks. That'd be really annoying. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just add one to the view to start out with. So I can just do that by adding to our chart data and get an error because my path is wrong. So if I go in here, chart data, we just added one item in here by default. That'll just be a nice little starting point that we can have on there. Now we don't have to add that to the options. We can just go ahead and add everything else to the options. So to do that, let's go ahead and do one. So if I want to go ahead, I'm just going to delete these options. Well, actually, I don't want to delete them because I'm going to use them as a starting point. So let's look at this. So I want to change my component first. Let's do the delay. Copy path here. And go back to this. And now we're going to do this. So now with our delay block, you can see I have a block there. I'm going to call this one a timer. Or not a timer. Call it delay. And this one took in a param that was in ID. So we just need to rename this to be, oh, you just double click. Sorry, first time using perspective. And then we're going to do time.
Okay.
And we're going to do time. So now we have our two params that this view takes in. And I can go ahead and clear that out by default. We do want this one to be a text. So that's good. I want this one to be a numerical entry. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And then call this one numeric. So this is just calling on that new, that different type of configuration element that we made before. So there's my delay block. I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate this to make another one. Let's do not start. We're going to do await. And we're going to do, put that in there. And then for this one, we got ID. We got value. And for value, this time we want it to be a text. And then we got tag path. So there's our parameters there. And I'm going to duplicate again because we have another one. And I am going to do tag right. This one has the same parameters, so it makes it pretty easy. I just have to change the component. And now you'll see we have our three components over here. So that's pretty cool.
Nice.
Now that we have that, we need to build out our actual execution engine. Luckily, our execution engine is pretty straightforward. So if I go to, let's see, I want to go to here. So I'm going to make another checkbox first. And this is just to make it a little bit simpler. So once I go to live mode, I'm going to add another one, another checkbox here that's just called check execute. And we're just going to have this be what runs whenever you just check this box and we want our SFC to run. So inside of this, I'm going to, to get it to actually kick off, I am going to do a change script. So change script, we're going to put this in here. This is just saying, if we check it to true, then we want to send the message run task, and we're going to send start block because that's the ID of our first block in the system. I'll hit OK. And then I am going to go to the root container. And now we need to actually add the logic to step through the process. So let's do that. If you remember, every time that a message completes, we're going to call this message handler, this message called complete task. And that's going to come with an ID that we want to use. Wow, this is being really laggy now. All right. So now what I'm going to do, so once I get that ID, I need I need to go find the block that I was just running, and I need to see what's next in that block, what's after that block. So to do that, I want to get the params, the chart data, and I'm going to iterate through that. So I'm going to do next IDs. I'm going to make a little array here of the IDs that are after this one. I'm going to do for item map, iterate through the dictionary, iterate through the array. I'm going to do a try here just because sometimes these blocks are set up weird just in case we get anything that doesn't abide by our standards of how the SFC should work. I'm going to just do a try catch. I'm going to pull the current ID, or I'm going to pull the ID out of that block. So what is the actual ID that was auto-generated for the block that I dragged on? This is not the ID you type into the text box for each of them. This is the one that the drag and drop component is generating automatically. So to do that, actually, no, I was wrong. This is we actually are going to pull the ID that was actually given for that one. So that next component. So if that ID is equal to the current ID. Oh, sorry. No, what we're doing here is we're iterating through it. We're pulling out the block. I don't know why I typed this twice. So we're trying to find the block that is currently us, right? And we know, so we have to find the block in the overall diagram that has the same ID as what we are, so that we know that this is our block. And then once we've found ourselves, which we did here, I can then go in and I can look at my connections, which that was in that dictionary we showed a little bit ago. And then from my connections, the connection dictionary, so I can go through all my connections, because there could be more than one. You could have as many as you wanted to make. I'm going to just pull out the IDs of my connections. So the next field of those connections. And then I'm going to just store that in the next IDs list. Oh my gosh. Next ID. Cool. So now we have our list of IDs. So these are the auto-generated IDs of the blocks that are next. What I can do now is I can say if the length of my next IDs is greater than 0, so if there is a next ID, then I want to go to those blocks and I want to find their IDs and start them. I'm going to iterate through all the map with values again. There's probably a more efficient way to do this, but this is how I'm doing it. It doesn't have to be efficient, it just has to be easy right now. So I'm getting the ID of that, and I'm going to say, is that ID, so is that current ID equal to, or is it in next IDs? And if it is, that means this block is one we need to run. So what I can do is I can pull out the ID that was entered for that block. And we're going to do this value. Oh. We're going to pull the value property of the ID param. Similar to how we did up here. And I'm going to say, using that current block ID, I am going to then run the message. And we're going to run the task. And then we're going to send the ID. That is what we just found. So this would then iterate through the list, find the items, each of the items that we're ready to run next, send the message to tell them to run based on the message handlers we made. And I think that should be about it. So I think we can now go see if this will actually work. So cross your fingers and save it.
All right.
And let's go. So there it shows up. Okay, you can see our little start block there.
Boy.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to drag this block on and click configuration. I'm going to call this delay. So we're just going to do a simple SFC here. So I'm going to delay for 5 seconds. And then we're going to drag this line here, connect those. And then what I want to do next is after that delay, I want to do a write, not that. I want to do this. And we're going to connect those. And then on here, I'm going to, let's open my designer. I have some tags made for this. Devices. Ooh, not that. We'll just use these test tags. So I'm going to use this tag path. Nope. Copy path. And we're going to say we want to write to this after it's done. We're going to write like hello. No, that's an integer tag probably. So we're going to write. Oh, is this? This is tag. It is an integer tag. Let's go and change that to a string just to avoid any issues. So I'm going to do that. Now we're going to write a string here. We're going to write hello to that tag. So copy path. Go back to our view. And we're going to do this. We're going to say this is right. And then we're going to write hello. All right. Now for the moment of truth. See if this actually works. I'm gonna. Oh, I can't see all that. That's kind of gross. I'm gonna drag it out a little bit bigger so you can see
Boy.
what I did. So now I'm gonna go to live mode. You can see that little block over there. We're gonna ignore that, and I'm gonna hit execute, and nothing's gonna happen, which
Yay.
means it's debugging time.
Oh, it's that time of the show.
Cue the
It is that
music.
time of the show. Well, that's
You know what time it is.
This is the moment you've been waiting
Troubleshooting
for,
time. Right, it's not a feature, it's a bug, you know? I mean, wait, it's
Exactly.
not a bug, it's a feature. I said it wrong. Well, I'm just gonna leave now. I'll see you guys later.
Oh no.
We should make the troubleshooting time logo, the banner, bigger as time goes on. Oh,
So
no.
it just slowly takes up the entire screen.
Oh.
Yeah. He said, "Oh."
Oh my god, what is this? Man, this is what I get for trying to improv and make this a little bit cleaner. Oh no, this is right.
Is it?
I don't know.
No, I don't know either.
I don't even know anymore. 3. Oh, it's because the ID.
Boss has a question.
What's up?
How much of this project is designer-facing code?
All of it is designer facing code. There's no modules or anything done in this.
Yeah? It was just all pure ignition. Perspective.
Everything is perspective, done with a.
Appreciate the
If
question.
you want to check out how we did it, you can check out the last view. I mean the last view, the last video, which is
Yeah, we can have our shameless plug here.
I don't know
All of
where
our all of our past streams are on our YouTube channel, which some random person has just linked for us.
Let's go, random person.
He's been here like every episode. He must be a super fan.
I don't know. It's hard to tell. Looks like self-promo to me. No.
Oh no.
But yeah, so you can check out all that there, and then also I'll throw in right now just a link for the exchange, which is where we have been updating or uploading this, and everything else that we've done on it, so that you guys can download it and do with it as you please.
Yeah, I think what Eric's developed so far is just really just some core code that gives you some flexibility to do what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want an SFC, he already is going to have something for you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you wanted to configure, like, I don't know, some kind of configuration, machine learning configuration with the drag and drop, you could.
Yeah.
You have the core code here to do it with.
There you go.
World is your oyster. But it's a good
Yuck.
start for people, for sure.
Yeah.
Did you say yuck?
Is troubleshooting time over?
Dude, I don't freaking know what's going on, honestly. We're just
I'm gonna make the.
need to make the troubleshooting time longer.
Wait. All right. Now it's troubleshooting time, Eric edition.
No.
We're going to the best debugging tool here.
There you go. The true power.
The true power of ignition.
Just like that,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
done.
There we go.
Classic, exactly.
Let's see.
I could dive into the forums for you.
I'm a professional.
Alright.
I mean, I am on there a lot.
I think we all are.
Yeah. Oh, ow.
Oh, it said here. There we go.
Wow.
Wait, did it line it up? Did it do something?
No, just Reese.
Wow. Wow, Reese.
Burning Derek.
Yeah.
Good. Good.
I'm working on my gold, thank you.
Ah.
It's submitted.
Is it? I need to start mine still. I haven't requested it. I was told I can take a break. but I'll start it soon, I'm sure.
Okay, I'm not even getting an error anymore, so that's cool. That's cool, guys.
Oh.
That's
Do you have
good,
any
right?
questions, comments, ideas for what you do with this in the chat? Any of you guys?
Yeah.
Ew.
If it worked.
Yeah, let's you know what? Here's what we'll do. Ready? You ready? Everybody close your eyes.
Okay.
Ready, close your
And
eyes.
Wait.
This.
Closing Clifford's eyes.
Yeah, my eyes are closed.
Minimize your screen. Your window.
Can I look yet?
No.
No.
I'm not looking. Yay, it works.
Wait, I
Oh,
can
it
look?
should work. You can look now. I think Derek cheated, but this should work. Let's see if this works.
Wait, what did you do? Besides cheating.
I didn't cheat.
Call the code, please.
Oh my
We-
gosh.
We call that having the cake in the oven.
Yeah. Yes.
This is a baking
Just in case,
stream?
you know? Just in case, you know?
Yeah.
Holy moly. It's probably something silly like naming it a weight instead of weight.
Oh, probably. That tends to be
Like
how
the
these
name
go.
so much.
Oh.
Okay.
And then just like-
Okay. Okay.
There you go. See? Look at that. Wow, it magically worked. Debug time over.
Wow.
Can they even see that?
Alright.
It's so small.
There we go. See, it dragged through. It went through it all. It executed it in order. You can get really fancy with it if you wanted
Well,
to.
that's cool.
Yeah. So there's one other thing I wanted to show real quick too that I thought was kind of cool.
Sure.
I'm not going to go into how I developed this necessarily, maybe, because as an example, because we're kind of running low on time and I want to leave some time
We have
for
a question too.
Oh, okay. Go ahead and ask the
We have-
question while I'm
We
getting
have
set up.
two. So Poss.
2 questions. Oh no.
Poss wants to know, so do the components persist after a session? Or, and then probably the ID that they had?
So you would have to save them to a database or something. Right now, this is all done on a screen. So if I left the screen and came back, it would also clear them out unless I save them to the database. That's what this chart data is for. So think of it the same way as like how like a table would work, right? The table is going to reload when you leave and come back. That's the same way this would go. It would reload to whatever state it was in the designer. If you save, but you could save this JSON to like the database or however you needed to do, and then you could just on the screen startup, you could load the JSON back in, and it would put it the same view as when you left, the same point as when you left.
Right.
So
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, Poss said that, yeah, fair. That wouldn't be all that hard. Or, God, I cannot speak. All that bad. It's these dang things, you guys. Wouldn't be all that bad, honestly. So, yeah, that's a great question.
yeah.
We have another question.
Yeah.
Another question. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Reese says it's super cool. And how does it know the order of the blocks?
So if I go here, let me actually do this in the designer here. So let's go into play mode, and I'm going to drag on a block, drag on another block, and drag some arrows between.
Dwayne. Let's do it.
Font Cakes by Eric. I like it.
Like that nothing bunt cake place. You guys have those? I know it's a chain.
Yes.
Yeah, those are so
Yes.
good.
So let's look here. So this is my that's my tag, right? Let's go to my start. Let's find my start block in here. There's my start block. Okay. You'll see here that I have this connections. So I basically told it a start point. And if you're familiar with the concept of like a linked list, where it's like you have a bunch of nodes and each node knows what its next node is.
Mhm.
That's kind of what this is, right? So I know the starting point, which is this part right here. And then I can use its connections to tell the ID of what's next. So I just have to go find the ID of the next component, which is like, I don't know, like here, this guy. So this guy's next in the list from it. So that's kind of what's going on. And I also have a little bit of information in here that's like drawing data. So there's just some metadata about how it's drawn on the screen in case you need it. But
Awesome.
yeah, it's really this next ID that's doing it all for you. So real quick, I want to show this last block because it's really cool, and I know we're close to time. Or I thought it was really cool. Other people might think it's super lame, but I can drag it on here, and this is what this is my. I called it.
Duck has a
called it
question
fancy
too.
block. Called it fancy block. Okay, before I can answer Zach's question before I go into this.
So Duck wants to know, how are those IDs generated? They might have missed this.
Yeah, so this is okay. So this is on last stream as well. So the way it works is I take the name of the block and then I generate a GUID. So a GUID is just like a string that you can generate using a Python function, the UUID library. And the idea of a GUID is just a random set of characters. And like the set of characters is generated in such a way that you would never generate the same set of characters for like a long time. So it's very unlikely that you're going to run into two GUIDs that are the same thing. So that's just the easiest way to generate a unique identifier from a string.
Okay. And Pos, thank you so much for the follow. We truly appreciate it.
Nice.
And I know Rick also followed earlier before we started, so we appreciate that as well.
So this last block here, and I think this one's super cool because I didn't know it would work like this. So this block is it says click to edit script on it, right?
Sure.
So if I click on it, you'll see I have a new configuration component. I actually just made this for this project. But in this, it's asked me for a script.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go ahead and type into it something like, I don't know.
No way.
Let's do this. Let's copy this guy, copy path. And I can do this. I could say, let's say, did it work? Give it an ID. Okay, so there it's all saved and stuff.
Boy.
Okay. Now if I do that, now I hit live and I hit execute. But it didn't turn green because, like, you know, it finishes right away. Oh, it didn't work. What? Oh my gosh.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
No.
This is super awkward. We're gonna reload. 1 second. This does work.
To close our eyes again.
No. We're gonna add a little delay to it this time. Do that. Put this on here. Let's do this. Let's do a different function. Let's do.
Put a typo in there. Is that a capital I? Perspective.
Whoa.
Where?
The
No, that's
channel sits at 599. If you're the 600th subscriber, I'll send you a Starbucks gift card.
Oh.
Dwayne Butcher.
I can
What?
here. Let me permit.
Wait, what? Wait, can I be that subscriber?
I will permit you, Dwayne, and you can go ahead and post that link. Wait, is it not gonna work? No.
He says no.
We have links turned off. Hold on. Isn't it supposed to like? Aren't you supposed to be able to pick a person and like permit them?
There's our YouTube. Let me see.
It says unrecognized command permit. That's awkward.
Oh, Steven's uneven. Got it.
Wait,
I need proof.
who got a? What was going on? I missed it all. I feel like I missed
just
the
a bunch of
chance.
hacking, you know, whatever.
Oh no.
Did you actually get it? Did Steven
No
get it?
shame.
What? Did I get what?
Dwayne, check the notifications.
Check.
Was it Steven's uneven? Thank you, Steven's uneven.
And also, are they hacking?
Uneven Steven.
Even Stevens?
No, it's uneven Steven.
Oh god, I clicked the wrong. I went to your YouTube page accidentally just now. Sorry.
Whose?
Ours.
Oh.
It just showed on stream for like 2 seconds.
Hackermans.
So.
Oh no.
Reese says we're gonna need your bank account and social, Steven, to transfer the funds. That's awesome.
If you could just send that with shoe size and address, that'd be great.
She said.
Cool.
Awesome.
But yeah, with this you can see that it did. I must have typed something wrong the first time. But
Okay.
You'll see that it did print. like I did in here. So I said system perspective print. Hello, it's me. You saw it here. And
Can we write to that tag?
write to the tag. Maybe if I write it this time. Maybe if I type right this time. No. Let's do this. Walking. Let's do.
Very excited to see this.
Please work.
Please work. Don't make me turn troubleshooting back on.
Please.
The block is working. It's just like because it's for some reason didn't work that time. Let's see if it works this time because I did a perspective print with it and it worked fine. Yeah, there we go. There it worked. So I could text it
Nice.
and run it. So it's just a block that lets you do whatever scripting you want.
Yes.
I don't know.
So
I thought it was kind of cool.
So you're using perspective functions and other functions within
yeah,
UI.
yeah.
That's-
I just am using. Let's. It's. I know we're at the end of time here,
Oh,
but it's
okay.
actually really easy to do that. So if I go in, so I basically made this fancy
Yes,
block
claps.
that takes in the script.
Pause.
Oh,
no.
And then what I can do with that, so when I take in the script, that's going to be a string. And it can be a multi-line string. I just did one line because it's easy. But you can write as long of a Python script as you want. And it can reference any Python libraries or whatever. If I'm in here, and then all I did in the run event is I just called exec on that string. And it just
Really?
executes it like a Python function.
What?
Which, yeah, it's really easy and it's really cool. And it works well for, and you know, I knew this was a thing in Python, but what really surprises me
duck.
is that it does give you access to like the ignition functions. So you get all access to all ignition functions by calling this exec function.
Wow.
So
Our
Man, I need to look.
Streamlabs just slapped Duck right back down. Sorry, Duck. Apparently it thought you were drop tables. Okay, apparently it thought that was a link. I'm sorry. Oh, because of the system dot. Yeah, it's
did somebody want me to run
drop all
tables?
table. Yeah, if you could drop all of them.
RM-RF.
Oh yeah, and Pa said my end users will be so dangerous. They could use this.
Yeah, you definitely should not give that to end users. But it was cool.
Steven wants to know if you're down with OOP.
What?
Object-oriented
Oh,
programming.
dude.
It's like
Object-oriented programming is the
college
best.
days.
Eric, do you know that song?
What song?
Never mind. I'll send you the link later.
Oh
Oh,
god,
no.
did I just like talk about something that was actually? Oh no, I'm not caught up with the times, guys. You can't.
Yeah, he's stuck in 2004
You're younger than
Power
us.
Ranger.
No age in chat.
I'm not. Listen, I'm like a third. I'm a bad memer, you know. I
Yeah.
try.
Yeah.
Try to get better.
Oh, that's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah, that's super cool.
But yeah, that's all I got. I think
Nice.
this will all be on the exchange soon. I have a couple other examples in here that when it's posted, you can kind of look at it. A little report builder, and then a OE line overview. All using the drag and drop, the same kind of stuff I showed today. Very simpler examples, but yeah, I think this will all be out there soon.
Yeah, I think this could be super powerful for, the right person,
For
the right
sure.
project. So, download it, check it out, make it better. Let us know what you're doing with it, please. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Are those Reese wants to know if they're quick to show?
What's equipped to show?
The other one, or what you were just showing, like the additional
Oh,
one?
the other one, the other demos.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's find out. Let's find out. I don't know what state they're actually in.
Or just like maybe
Yeah,
show
just
us
some
what...
ideas.
Yeah,
of what
like show us
we
the
can do with
idea.
it.
Let's find out. No, I'm gonna try it. We'll see what happens. Let's do OEE.
Boy.
Let's do that. We'll launch the URL. Oh yeah, this looks really bad. But it's like I got this model. I meant to get a model that didn't have a .com
Oh.
on it. So don't tell anybody. Don't copyright it. But
You're giving credit.
whatever it is.
Close your eyes. Close your eyes.
Yeah, let's put .com on it. Oh no. but I can drag, like, this is just an idea where I can just drag on these little, like, really dumb components onto here, and I can, like, you know, make it, like, sit over the map. So just a nice way that a user could go in. Let's say they have something else they want to, like, be able to move it around. They move a station. They don't have to call you to go update their ignition dashboard. They could just do it themselves.
Oh, that's
here.
Ooh.
And this is where I can click on here, and I don't know why it's doing that, but I can, like, set the title. I can see this is, like, my room 1, and then I can set the tag path of that, which I think I have some tags set up.
So you're just feeding a base tag path into that, and the rest.
Yeah, and you know, obviously you could get really fancy with this. I just didn't want to, but you can see, like, I can show values now on it because that's how I made my OE thing.
That's awesome.
So yeah, this one is, you know, just real simple example of a way of one use case that I've seen for this that could be really nice if you actually made it, you know, look good. The other one, the report viewer, is the report builder is something I actually want to work on a little bit more because I think it could be something that's really cool for some of the applications we have in-house. There's a specific thing we could use, so I'm going to go ahead and do this.
Take my money.
And let's go and launch the URL here. So this one is not found
gift.
because I did something wrong. Did I not save? There we go. All right, so this one's just a real simple example too, where I'm just gonna say, like, I want to drag a label on. I want to set, like, you know, I'm gonna leave it bold. I can change the font size to like 30. I can change it to say my text, or I'll just do this. I'll do slider. Ooh,
Like White Castle? Oh, no.
Oh,
Oh no.
and I can pull the slider over here, and, you know, make it a little bit bigger here.
Wow.
And, you know, the idea of this would be, like, using different report components to build this. So I can do this. I can do, like, you know, I'm just gonna leave this horizontal, I guess. And I could do change max min. I could give it an ID if I wanted to. You know, I can use an ID to save values back and forth to the database. Yeah, I can do text fields. This is going to be my primary demo for this, but then I thought the SFC would be a little bit cooler. So, you know, just building your own report here, and then, you know, I can go into play mode, and then with these I can have them be like, I can mess with them and type them like any user would, right? And then go out of play mode and let myself mess with it some more, right? Drag it around, play with some components. So this is something I plan on working on a little bit more. I think this could be kind of cool.
Cool.
A nice little piece of functionality to have. So,
Do you think,
yeah, demos.
are you going to upload, like, will we upload that to the exchange when you're done working on the extra stuff, or?
I don't know. We'll see if it turns out to be anything cool or
if
not.
it's right, if it's at all usable, at least.
If it's just like this, probably not worth uploading. But
Right.
if it turns out to be kind of cool, then yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. Let's see.
So.
Poss wants to know, how will you cache the individual data for these different templates?
Like these. So what I was going to do is I actually have this on there. I have a message handler on each of these where the change script will, like, when the value changes, it would send a message saying, hey, my value changed, and it sends this ID.
Okay.
So then I had a message, like a listener on the a message handler on the main view that would listen for those and then update a dictionary, like store all that data in a dictionary. And then what I would do is I would just pass that to, like, a database, right? And you could just use those key value pairs to store it for, like, a report. So what information they added. So
Cool.
that was at least where I was going with it.
Very cool.
Perfect. Awesome, Poss. Thank you.
That is awesome.
We appreciate all these questions, you guys. Truly do.
Yeah.
Plus, we like to
So-
make Eric think.
And we had to use the troubleshooting
Absolutely.
segment. So
Yeah, that's why I did it. We had to get the troubleshooting.
and you somehow fixed it. We just all closed it
Yeah,
out.
I know. It was magic, you know?
We've been trying to break him from day one.
Amazing how
Right?
that works.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, are we
Cool.
thinking that's about
Any more questions?
Yeah.
Comments?
Have any
Some
more-
questions?
exactly? Give people just a sec. I don't think. Do you think we need to do another recap, or are we probably pretty good? Reese,
Oh,
right, Poss?
I think I don't know. Do you want to do another recap? Do you guys need one? I think we're good.
Yeah, I think we're probably good.
You guys can always go back to episode 1 of Drag and Drop and check that out to get more detail.
Sure.
Full detail, for sure.
Yeah, I guess we can go ahead and do our... Oh. There's an important question.
A nose boop? Of course. Wait, let me make sure I don't knock my camera down. Boop. Did it boop?
Boop.
I think it booped.
I would
Alright,
call that a
one
boop.
That's
That
all.
was a mega boop.
I'll bring the costume back anytime. Ask these guys.
Maybe
I
it'll
have
be
no
a
problem
redemption
wearing it.
someday if we ever get channel points.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Cool.
Would be.
Well,
Awesome. Well, I guess we can go ahead and do it here. I guess we want to, thank all of you guys that tuned in with us today. Definitely be sure to check out our YouTube channel for other content as well as our past streams like Derek had mentioned. He's going to put the link in the chat below. And then if he would also do the events and the training, we do have another upcoming...
I'm working on it.
I'm going fast here. We have another in-person ignition training, like it says right there, in January. And, it's in person at our Flexware office. If you guys are interested in that, check that out. Go on, Derek.
Yeah, if Dwayne or Reese is still in the chat, do you guys know how many seats are still left? Maybe it doesn't matter, but
Yeah, that I do not know.
I think
they go hot.
I heard there was like 4 or 5 taken right now or something
Plenty.
like that.
Dwayne says plenty.
So,
Okay. Well, they're hot. They won't be around very long.
Oh.
So if you're interested in in-person training
They do fill
at
up.
Flexware, please check out that link. Sign up. If you have any questions, look up Dwayne.
Yeah.
And you can find any of that contact info at any of those links in the social area.
Yeah, and definitely, also, if you enjoyed watching us today and you're not following, definitely hit that follow button.
Yes. Please follow. Please follow.
Please follow. You will also, it's free to you. You'll get go live notifications when we do go live. And that's about it with that. And just a reminder to tune into our next stream, which is on November 7th.
17th.
And we moved it for the holidays.
Yeah, No, I'm sorry. It's the 20th. It was on the 27th, but that's the week of Thanksgiving, so we're gonna do it on the 20th, November. Oh wait.
So
I'm looking at October. I'm sorry. It is the 17th.
hold on. Okay. And we'll
November
post that
17th.
information on LinkedIn as well. So November 17th, 4 p.m. Eastern. And yes, like Reese said, he heard Power Ranger will be helping with the class. With the ignition train.
no,
The way that you look so fiercely.
it's true.
But yeah, that's everything. I think we're good to go ahead and end. We appreciate all you guys. Have an awesome night. See you next time, right? Right, Kogo Power
next month.
Rangers. Not sponsored.
Oh, before we go, we are gonna be doing some Devon chills. So they're gonna be between our monthly streams, and it's probably gonna be people like Eric here and a couple others that are interested. But they're just gonna get on after 5 o'clock, 5 to 6, 5 to 7. Kick the stream on and develop. So come hang out.
And I know,
Definitely.
just a little teaser for that. I know next week I'm planning on doing some next week, and I'm gonna start trying to look into some module dev. So
Whoa.
I need some help. So I'm like, trying to figure out how modules work.
Nice.
So.
That's
Cool.
awesome. Yeah, and again, Paz, thank you so much for the follow. We appreciate it. And we will see you guys around.
Bye, guys.
Bye.